What's up, everyone? Jason Gilbo here at JGilbo11, breaking down some stacking options for tonight's slate. You got cores, we got 12 games, and we'll talk about cores here first. I love John Gray. I think he's a really strong pitcher. This is also a guy who, did show the blow-up opportunities earlier on this year prior to the injury. But this is also a guy who can limit some damage. The strikeout rate does drop a little bit against lefties. He's good against righties. Could you still play the lefties in this lineup? Sure. Could you still play a stack? Sure. But there's a lot of other high totals to look at outside of cores tonight. And I think even a Colorado side where, Charlie Blackmon stands alone as a really good play. Nolan Arenado, obviously. I'm not completely in love with the rest of this lineup. So both of these obviously are stackable just because of the cores effect. But as always, I'm just kind of diving in elsewhere to some other ballparks. And there's some really high totals on tonight's slate. So that's going to be where I'm going to be headed. Cleveland's at first spot. You look at Perdomo. He's just still a guy who struggles with lefties. This is not the lineup that really struggle against. He gives up an incredibly high hard contact rate, 366 WOBA to lefties as well. Does keep a good job of keeping the ball on the ground. That's one of the things that I'm a little bit hesitant about Cleveland, but I like the potential here of Kipnis, Lindor, Brantley, Encarnacion, Ramirez, Chisenhall, Santana, even a Zimmer as well. I mean, there are some guys in this back half lineup. Once again, you can go with a cheap stack. But you just look, the lefties here, there's just a ton of power. The collective lefties in this lineup, 347 WOBA, 211 ISO against right-handed pitching this year. It's just really strong. Mentioned it on the pitcher pod as a quick note. Perdomo does throw the slider up over 30% of the time, and Cleveland is top 10 against slider, so that's kind of one of the other downsides of Perdomo tonight. But he's tough on righties. You can always make the case of just kind of fading Encarnacion and maybe using Santana, especially because it's still going to be contrarian. A lot of people won't go that route, but you could also make a stack of one of each just because Encarnacion is still one of the more talented hitters in the game. But Cleveland, one of the higher run totals on the night, a good spot for him there. Looking elsewhere, hard not to go back to the well with Boston in a really good spot against Andrew Cashner. Cashner's a guy we've just been expecting that those numbers would start to kind of jump up, and that's what they're doing of late. He's allowing a lot of runs over his last few starts. Boston's offense is coming around, 6-game win streak here. Yeah, Mookie Betts, who's on fire. Benintendi coming off a huge night. Hanley Ramirez is starting to really get going from his injury. I love JBJ in this one. You can always make the case for kind of fading the Dustin Pedroia, Alexander Bogaerts just because the power really isn't there against righties. But, Betts, Moreland, Benintendi, Hanley, Jackie Bradley Jr., I'm absolutely in love with on tonight's slate. So another warm night in Texas. There's a lot of upside in this one. You can also make the case on the opposite side, with the lefties against Doug Fister. Doug Fister's been a guy who's kind of bounced around, but, over the last 2 years, lefties have given him fits. So Chu, Mazzara, Odor, those guys are in play, and obviously you still have Anderson, Belcher hitting the ball really well against righties too. So you like Texas. I like the potential that they have there. Really good spots. And then you kind of move elsewhere. This Houston-Atlanta game, this is the second game that I'm really heavily targeting on both sides. Hopefully Carlos Correa is back, but the fact that you're getting Jaime Garcia, another lefty, who's, this is a guy who I do like to target. 172 ISO to right-handers this year. You look at Springer, he's mashed lefties, 466 WOBA, 388 ISO. Carlos Correa, 407 WOBA. Jose Altuve, 375 WOBA, 213 ISO. You got Evan Gattis in a nice little revenge spot, 260 ISO. And then you even have Marwin Gonzalez, 378 WOBA, 231 ISO. So just so much power from this Houston team. I love the stacking opportunity here. But I think a really contrarian way to go tonight is to stack the Braves. They have Freddie Freeman back, and the fact that Freddie Freeman is third base eligible over on FanDuel, you can play Freddie Freeman and Matt Adams together and get some big power upside there. But, I don't mind that, where you go a little 4-man stack of Freeman, Kemp, Markakis, Adams on FanDuel. DraftKings, it's a little bit different because Freeman's still first base eligible. But you look at Joe Musgrove. He's been awful. There was a reason why he got sent down to the minors. He had one good start down there, and now he's coming back up just due to the injuries. But you look, 388 WOBA to ISOs to right-handers this year, 361 WOBA to lefties. Those are just not good numbers on both sides of the plate. So Atlanta, a really good sneaky stack tonight. I like them a ton. I'll tell you that. That's pretty much it. I think those two stacks right there are probably one of my favorites on the night. But then you have Boston, Texas, obviously, and then the Colorado game. But, interesting way to go also would be to maybe attack that Detroit, San Francisco with two lefties on the hill. It'd be interesting to kind of use maybe a Penson Posey and Cabrera, JD Martinez, Castellanos. I don't hate that game as well. So two lefties on the hill. Look at the righties. You can possibly make a game stack out of that one, or stack both sides. I don't hate that as well. So that's gonna wrap things up here. Quick stacking pod. You can head on over to DaveFantasyCafe.com. Check out the rest of our great tools and content.